Seamus Finnigan was a half-blood Irish wizard who attended Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, where he was sorted into Gryffindor House. He participated in the Battle of Hogwarts and survived the Second Wizarding War. This is the life of Seamus Finnigan. Seamus came from an Irish family, as suggested by his name. It is possible that Seamus is from Kenmare, County Kerry, due to his support of the local Quidditch team. It can also be assumed that he and his mother supported the Irish national Quidditch team from a young age. Seamus had an older cousin named Fergus who would frequently apparate just to annoy him. Seamus had plans to annoy Fergus back once he passed his apparition test. Seamus arrived at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry on September 1st, 1991. Other students in his year included the famous Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, Hermione Granger, and pureblood Draco Malfoy. When Professor McGonagall asked the first years to form a line to head into the Great Hall, Seamus ended up in front of Harry Potter. When his name was called during the sorting ceremony, he waited for almost a minute before the sorting hat placed him into Gryffindor. After joining the Gryffindor table, Seamus was introduced to the Gryffindor house ghost, Nicholas the Mimsy Porpington, who students often called Nearly Headless Nick. Seamus asked how one could be nearly headless, to which Nick demonstrated by pulling his head off his neck, which disgusted most of the students at the table. During his first potions lesson the next Friday, Seamus was partnered with Neville Longbottom to brew a boil cure potion. Neville managed to melt Seamus's cauldron and was drenched in their potion. Professor Snape told Seamus to take Neville to the hospital wing, which he did. When the Gryffindor first years learned about their first flying lesson with Madame Hooch, Seamus bragged that in his youth he spent most of his time flying around the countryside. During Charms class on Halloween morning, Seamus was partnered with Harry Potter to practice the levitation charm. While practicing, Seamus managed to set fire to their feather with his wand, and Harry had to put it out with his hat. Seamus would have had many such experiences throughout his school career. When Harry was preparing for his first Quidditch match, Seamus joined in to try and get Harry to eat something for breakfast. He insisted Harry needed his strength because Seekers were the most frequent target of physical attacks. Harry acquiesced, and Seamus piled ketchup onto his sausages. Out on the pitch, Seamus joined Ron, Hermione, Neville and Dean Thomas in the top row of seats. When Harry's broom became enchanted by Quirinus Quirrell, Seamus was impressed, as was the rest of Gryffindor, that Harry managed to still stay on the broom. Before leaving Hogwarts for the Christmas holiday, Seamus lent Harry his wizard's chess pieces so Harry could learn how to play. After the new year, Seamus returned for his next term, and when Neville arrived in Gryffindor Tower with his legs stuck together, Seamus was among those that burst into laughter. Before getting on the Hogwarts Express to leave for the summer, Seamus, along with the rest of the school, was given a warning not to use magic. That coming September, Seamus boarded the Hogwarts Express to begin his second year at the school. When Harry Potter and Ron Weasley arrived at the school via Arthur Weasley's flying car, Seamus was one of the students who expressed admiration at the result. In Gilderoy Lockhart's first Defence Against the Dark Arts lesson, in which he showed the class a cage of Cornish pixies, Seamus asked if they were dangerous or not. Instead of giving the class a straight answer, Lockhart showed them by letting them loose. Most of the class, including Seamus, dove for cover. He was among the students who bolted for the door when the bell rang and escaped the task of putting the pixies back in their cage, leaving the trio to take care of it. Seamus later attended the first and only meeting of Lockhart's dueling club. He was partnered with Ron, and at one point, Ron's damaged wand malfunctioned and knocked Seamus to the ground. Ron helped Seamus back to his feet, apologising profusely. When Harry and Draco were chosen to demonstrate blocking spells, Seamus and the rest of the class learned that Harry could speak Parseltongue. A few days before the start of term for his third year at Hogwarts, Seamus arrived in Diagon Alley to purchase his school books. With Dean Thomas, he saw Harry Potter in Quality Quidditch Supplies, where they were all oogling the newly released Firebolt broomstick. In his first divination lesson with Sybil Trelawney, the class debated on whether or not she had seen a Grim in Harry's teacup. Tilting his head from side to side, Seamus expressed his opinion that, tilted right, the tea leaves did resemble a grim, but tilted left, it looked more like a donkey. In his first potions lesson, Seamus told Harry and Ron that Sirius Black, an escaped Azkaban convict, had been spotted near the school. Looking excited, he informed them that a Muggle woman had spotted Black and called the special hotline set up by the Ministry of Magic. After lunch, Seamus had his first Defense Against the Dark Arts lesson with Professor Remus Lupin. When Seamus's turn came to face a Boggart, the creature turned into a Banshee with floor-length black hair and a skeletal green face. When the Banshee began to shriek, Seamus used the ridiculous charm to take her voice away. For his participation, Seamus earned 5 house points for Gryffindor. On Halloween, Seamus paid his first visit to Hogsmeade with the rest of the third years. It can be assumed that he largely spent this trip with his best friend, Dean Thomas. When the Gryffindors learned that Sirius Black had attacked the Fat Lady, they were all sent back to the Great Hall. Once in the hall, they were joined by the other houses in an attempt to keep all the students safe. With the rest of Gryffindor, Seamus was aggravated by the choice of Sir Cadogan to guard the house's portrait hall, calling him a lunatic. When Seamus complained to the head boy Percy Weasley, Percy replied that Sir Cadogan was the only one who willingly volunteered for the job, as he was unbalanced. Along with most of the school, Seamus went home for the Christmas holidays, and when he returned, he was impressed that Harry had received a firebolt for Christmas. When Harry went down to breakfast the morning of his first Quidditch match with the broom, Seamus served as a guard of honour to protect the broom. When Professor Lupin resigned at the end of the year after being exposed as a werewolf, Seamus was among the students who were sorry to see him go, along with the other Gryffindor students. Over the summer of 1994, Seamus and his mother, along with Dean, attended a Quidditch World Cup match between Bulgaria and Ireland. Being Irish, the pair obviously supported the latter, as their tent was covered with shamrocks. When Seamus ran into Harry, Ron and Hermione, they assured him that they would be supporting Ireland as well. Presumably, Seamus was delighted when the Irish national Quidditch team won. By the start of term of his 4th year, Seamus was still wearing his Ireland rosette. It still called out the names of the Irish players, albeit feebly and exhaustedly. After the welcoming feast, Seamus learned that the Triwizard Tournament would be held at Hogwarts that year. His first day of classes did not sit well with him. In his first class, Herbology, he was required to collect Bubotibur Puss for Professor Sprout. In his next class, Care of Magical Creatures, he was required to help look after Hagrid's newly bred blast-ended Scroots. When Harry's name mysteriously came out of the Goblet of Fire, Seamus was among the students who believed Harry had tricked the goblet into letting him compete. On Christmas Day, Seamus attended the Yule Ball with Lavender Brown, but it was likely just as friends. On his first night back at the school, Seamus got into an argument with Harry about the latter's claim of Lord Voldemort's return. A devout reader of the Daily Prophet, Seamus's mother believed what the papers were actually saying about Harry and Albus Dumbledore, and had been very reluctant to allow Seamus to return to school. When he asked Harry what really happened that night, Harry snapped at him to read the prophet like his mother. When Ron Weasley arrived to break up the argument, Seamus thought that, for believing Harry, Ron was just as insane as Harry was. After Harry's interview with Rita Skeeter appeared in The Quibbler, Seamus apologised for his behaviour. He told Harry that he now believed Voldemort was back and had sent a copy of Harry's interview to his mother. Seamus and Harry were soon friends again. When the students returned to school after Christmas break, Dean Thomas led Seamus to attend his first meeting of Dumbledores Army. Seamus was thrilled when he managed to conjure a full Patronus. It disappeared after only a few moments, but was something hairy. When Dobby the house elf arrived to warn the group about Dolores Umbridge's pending arrival, Seamus managed to escape with most of the others. In the autumn of 1996, Seamus tried out for the Gryffindor Quidditch team as a chaser. When Katie Bell was sent to St. Mungo's after touching a cursed necklace, Seamus was among the students who disapproved of Harry's choice of Dean Thomas as her replacement. Harry was initially against it as well because he knew Seamus would not like it. However, Harry felt it was the right choice because Dean had outflown Seamus during the tryouts. Seamus was not one of the Dumbledores Army members that answered the call to arms when Hogwarts was invaded by Death Eaters, as he did not keep his DA coin on himself at all times. After Dumbledore was killed by Professor Snape, Seamus refused to return home until after the funeral, wanting to pay his respects and say goodbye to his former headmaster, despite his mother insisting he returned home at once. While Harry, Ron and Hermione were gone searching for Voldemort's Horcruxes, Seamus returned to the Death Eater-controlled Hogwarts for his 7th year. He greatly missed his best friend Dean Thomas, who was forced to go on the run because of his presumed Muggle-born status. Seamus was part of the restored Dumbledores Army, who ended up staying in the Room of Requirement to escape the Carrows. That school year was incredibly difficult for Dumbledore's Army. He, along with many others, started to show the cost of standing up to the new regime at Hogwarts. Seamus's face was so bruised that when Harry returned to the school in May of 1998, Seamus was almost unrecognisable until he spoke. When Voldemort's army attacked the castle, Seamus was among many of those who stayed to fight. He was charged with blowing up the wooden bridge. During the Battle of Hogwarts, Seamus helped save Harry, Ron and Hermione from hundreds of Dementors by casting the Patronus to hold them back, before Harry drove them away with his own. His Patronus was in the form of a fox. Seamus and many others were also seen being led into battle by Aberforth Dumbledore sometime during the opening stages of the battle. Seamus was among the students to witness Hagrid carry Harry's dead body back to the school grounds. When Neville shouted "Dumbledore's Army," Seamus was among those in the crowd that roared with cheers, provoking Voldemort. Afterwards, when the second stage of the fighting began and Lord Voldemort himself had stepped in, Harry saved Seamus and Hannah Abbott's lives when Voldemort had sent a curse their way. Seamus also witnessed Harry Potter's final defeat of Lord Voldemort and the end of the Second Wizarding War. And that is all for today's video, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider subscribing to the channel if it is your first time watching. And if you're a fan of the channel and feel like you'd like to contribute, my restructured Patreon account is up and running. And in exchange for your contribution of a minimum of $1 a month, there are many rewards you can receive, like suggesting one of my upcoming videos, exclusive Patreon only videos for you to watch, and even one-to-one Skype calls where we can hang out and talk everything Harry Potter or anything in general. So please make sure to check out some of my other videos on the left hand side of the screen. My second channel, Game of Thrones Lore, is on the right hand side of the screen. And if you want to check out some merch, I've got a merch store on the bottom right, or you can click the link in the description below. Thanks again everyone, and I hope you all have a great day.